Right, man. So I thought today we'll speak about something that is commonly spoke about in the medical world, but we don't really speak much about it. I think, I mean, the fitness world has tapped into it recently,
Okay.
okay? Because longevity, you're talking about people's longevity, right? Is not tied completely to a sport anymore. That means basically, if you're talking about exercise, you should not always tie it to a sport. Not everybody is, dying to do a sport.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, of course, right? So because now that I run a sports clinic, right, I
Mhm.
see a lot of individuals who are parents,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who are parents. They don't particularly do a sport. And when you talk about running or when you talk about strength training, it's always tied to some sport, whether it's high rocks, whether it's marathon running, whether it's powerlifting, whether it's strongman, whatever it is. So there are many people who perceive that doing anything beyond just regular jogs is considered doing a sport. Okay.
Okay.
And now, if you look in the entirety of health and longevity, right, a lot of the benefits that come from exercise doesn't necessarily come from the highest end of RP 8, 9.
Mm.
Not really.
No.
If a regular person does anywhere between, say, an RP 4 to 6 workouts, right, generally they will get most of the benefits with exercise. And the group that I particularly want to talk about are parents. Okay. So, being a parent myself, I see the struggles in which parents have to deal with when it comes to trying to put exercise into their daily living. All right. Now, you don't only have the commitments of work. Okay. And if you're working a 8 to 5 job, you don't necessarily leave work at eight. I mean, you don't go to work at 8 o'clock. You leave to work at 6:30 in the morning. All right. And then you come home, you probably clock out at 5 o'clock. By the time you reach home, it's like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So you're talking about half the day is spent either on road or in work.
Mm-hmm.
And when you come home, you're already tired. Then you
Yep.
also have to deal with the kids that you have at home. All right. And you have younger kids, then the commitment, the time commitment is a lot higher.
It's starting to sound like a confession, but okay.
It is.
Starting to sound like a bit personal, like awfully too detailed.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter, it is.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like
Yeah.
I have clients, elderly clients, parents as well, exactly the same as you. And a lot of parents like to think they're the exception. Is like, I'm sorry, but you're not the only parent out there.
Yeah, it is true. But the thing is, you have to understand. Okay, I'm not talking about your parents. I'm talking about us as parents, like our age, people our age. Okay, the elderly is a different story altogether. Okay, but I'm talking about people who are parents now,
Yeah.
who with younger children and so on. So I guess the biggest struggle when it comes to exercising or putting exercise into their daily living is probably the time commitment. Okay, that's number one. Of course, the time commitment is tied to you being tired, you having things to do, you having other things that you have to settle work wise. Okay, not everybody leaves work and comes home to no work.
Yeah.
Okay, some of us drag our work back home, which is not actually a good thing to do. Actually,
Especially if you're an entrepreneur.
yeah, exactly. So finding the time to exercise becomes a chore for a lot of people, and that's what they confess to me, at least when I ask them, "Are you doing any sort of exercise?" Okay, so yes, some people who have the liberty of caretakers at home, okay, probably their kids are a bit bigger. You don't really have to be very hands on. Yes, they will have more time to exercise. But that also means for someone like me, what do you do when they are younger? How do we get exercise in, and why should a parent exercise? Now, dealing with toddlers and babies, right? You'd be surprised that there's a lot of carrying that, like the amount of carrying you do
Yeah.
is far more than just carrying a dumbbell for 10 reps.
Correct.
Sometimes you carry your kids for half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
A kid wants to sleep, you carry them on your shoulder for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, for instance. Okay? You might be shifting them around if you don't have a carrier with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you'll be surprised how much it actually exposes their weakness in strength and endurance during the period of time, and they actually end up getting injured. And you'll be surprised the amount of wrist injuries, elbow injuries, shoulder injuries I get from people dealing with their kids.
Mm.
Okay? Because toddlers like Ezra, right? He's 10 months now, and he's quite physical. And an 8 kilo kid being physical with you, trying to move around, move here, move there, and you are trying to prevent the kid from falling, you actually can end up injuring yourself simply because you don't have the strength to withstand whatever force he's putting on you. All right. And you are resisting the kid's force. So I've gotten a few people who came to me with like decoven tenosynovitis, so like wrist injuries from holding their kids or feeding bottles, right? With the way you're holding the feeding bottle also ends up causing problems in their wrist and so on. Okay. And back leaning over on the cot to get the kid out, put it back in, and you do that a couple of times a day. Okay, so those things kind of expose your weaknesses and strength, which exposes you to injuries and actually makes parenting a lot harder for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one of the reasons why I think strength training has to be part of a parent's daily living is simply because you need to prevent yourself from getting injured. Okay, from doing all of these things. All right. Of course, there are ways to hold a bottle, ways to hold a kid to prevent yourself from getting injured, but not all situations are ideal. And I feel like I think one of the injuries that I got a wrist injury from feeding Ezra, surprisingly. Okay, and that started messing with my bench press and squat and so on because I could not move my wrist much. And because of holding a bottle, because when the kid is starting to feed, say 90 ml, 120 ml, right, and it's one of those slow teats, it can take you 20 minutes and you're holding a bottle in one position for 20 minutes. Okay, you would think like it's not much until you have to have your hand floating like that for 20 minutes. And if you move, the kid wakes up. Okay, and you start all over again. All right, so it does eventually mess with your wrist. So that, I mean, I tried with the other wrist and so on. Of course, changing the way you hold the bottle or how you pad your hand and so on does help. But again, at the end of the day, I realized this was a weak point I actually never worked on. Okay, I never particularly worked on my supination, pronation on my forearm, to actually strengthen my pronation.
Your ulnar and radial deviation also.
Yeah, the ulnar, none of that was, I never really had to do any of those because it was not really part.
As much as you can load your wrist with 150, 160 kg, even like perfect example, simple like ulnar radial deviation, you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, so it's as simple as that you end up injuring yourself, and that actually becomes a problem when you deal with it every day. It starts at one point, then you realize every time you hold the bottle, it's starting to hurt again, and then you try a brace doesn't work because you can't hold it in the proper position, and then it starts messing up my work. And I do a lot of injections on a daily basis, so if I need to even do an injection, sometimes it hurts. Palpate patients, it hurts. Okay, so I realized it exposed certain amount of weaknesses that I had in my muscle groups as well. All right, so doing strength training, especially for parents, I think is going to be very important to prevent injuries. Okay, allowing you to actually carry out all of these activities without any problem. All right, now the other benefits that you get from strength training, okay, or exercise in general actually, is as a parent, we are the examples of our kids. Okay, so like for instance, at 10 o'clock when I pick up my gym bag, Adel immediately knows dad's going to the gym. Okay, so in her head, my dad is someone that goes to exercise.
Okay.
Okay, likewise, mom does the same thing. Mom does it on a different day, but mom does the same thing as well. So she sees, and sometimes she works out at home, so she sees Sonia also working out at home. Now you are giving an image or you're giving an example to your kid that exercising is part of your day. Exercising is an important part of your day. The fact that you're doing it week on week.
So I don't have kids of my own, but I've been told this, that kids rarely listen to you, but they almost always copy what you do.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter how much you tell your kid like, don't do this, do this, and all kinds of things. But ultimately, your kid, if your kid sees you doing something, they're gonna imitate you.
Exactly. So they see the example that you're setting out for them. Okay. Better still if you actually can take them with you to exercise. So sometimes when you go to the park, you run around with them, you walk around with them. If you can, do the activities with them, it actually shows that this is something that's important, and you are setting an example for them, and it's very important. Now, why I say that is, when I was in Klang, I was running the pediatric obesity clinics. Okay, and I think one of the biggest hurdles that I actually had to deal with is parents that don't exercise themselves. Now, how do you set an example for a child who's 8, 9 years old, who's obese, with parents who never do any exercise at all? Where do we start with this? If you ask the kid to exercise, the kid will feel like, why am I the only one who's having to do these squats or having to run around when my parents are equally obese, okay, equally looking unhealthy as well, all right? And sometimes is when you're actually asking them to manage their diet as well, like you don't eat this junk food, don't eat that junk food. I mean, the first question is, why is the junk food at home? Who else is eating it at home?
Yeah.
You right? So as parents, you're setting examples, okay? If you don't exercise, if you don't manage the food that you have at home, you are setting up a premise that this is okay. This is okay to do. you know. And exercise doesn't have to be complex. I mean, think about, I was just talking to Sonia the other day. Like, think about when we were, I don't know, 8, 9 years old. It was 5 o'clock and you can't wait to just get out of the house and go and play something.
Football,
Run around, do
basketball,
something. You know,
badminton,
I see the girls playing whatever, the hopscotch.
hopscotch, yeah.
Yeah, you see them playing that. The boys are playing badminton or football, and some girls are playing badminton as well. They're running around, playing bicycle. We were doing races, getting our
Yeah.
shins gutted, okay, and all those things. But that was back in the days. I mean, I'm not exactly the thinnest kid at that point, but
Yeah, we still like,
I went out to play. I went out to sweat to the point my mom had to beat me to get me back home. Okay, but in these days, you got to beat your kids to get them out of the house.
yeah, that's the funny thing. I mean, it's also largely due to the change in our world, right? Technology has come about. Back then, there were no iPads, iPhones. Our source of entertainment and connection was we'd actually have to get out of the house and see our friends. We actually have to go to our friend's house and like, Uncle, is John at home?
Yeah.
Then it's like, John's studying. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll wait.
which is true. Which is true. I miss those days.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah, that's you go with your bike and you cring,
Yeah.
dude, yeah,
Like a few people together.
yeah. And you gotta pick up everybody as you go.
Yeah.
So that was exercise back in the day, and I find it's getting tougher and tougher to advise people to exercise simply because their parents themselves don't exercise. And I think as parents, you have to set the premise. Okay, you have to at least try. Okay, because if you don't, your kids are never gonna try. And by the time your kids actually try, they're probably dealing with obesity. And be surprised, I've seen diabetes, hypertension in like young hypertensive kids. Okay, because of this, and it's getting more and more. We have more knowledge, we have more information, but this problem doesn't seem to be going away. Okay, of course, food is better now. Food is more accessible now.
Everything's accessible.
Okay, you can get it by a click of a button on your phone right now. Okay, not walk to the mama shop or whatever it is back in the days. So things are becoming more accessible. With that, I think there is a problem that is rising, which is obesity as well. Okay, now the other things that you have to talk about is as parents. You know, we talk about wanting to be there for our kids. We're wanting to sacrifice for our kids. Truth be told, if your health is not good, I think you're sacrificing yourself a bit too early. Okay, and your kid is not going to see you in the best of health when they're much older. Okay, they're going to end up dealing with parents who have diabetes, hypertension, heart problems, okay, very much earlier in their lives. And they will have, not only you have to deal with it, your spouse has to deal with it, your kids have to deal with it, they have to run up and down hospitals. That's not a fun journey to have. That's not the kind of journey that you want to give your kids.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course.
As parents, I think it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of them. Okay? So yes, okay, you might already have these conditions before you had kids. Okay? And that's unfortunate. But can you do something about it? Of course you can. Can you make it better? Of course you can. Can you control it better? Of course you can. It's whether we want to or not.
I think that's such a very good thing that you said, that like I feel a lot of parents again, it's hard for me to give my opinion because I'm not a parent, but what I see is that a lot of parents tend to like sort of quote unquote devote their entire life to taking care of their kids. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's that you need to be able to take care of yourself, like what you said, to be able to devote or give back to your kids or give your kids the best life. But the question stems is, what kind of life are you giving your kids if you yourself, your health is deteriorating? So you want to end up, every parent wants the best for the kid. Every parent wants the kid to grow up happy, healthy, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, financially, everything, you know? And so you need to ask yourself, if I am like in this state, if I don't take care of my health, I'm just going to end up being a liability to my kids. And that's not what I brought them into the world for. You know, I brought them into the world to contribute, to be better, to make an impact on society and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Not so that they could end up being my financial retirement scheme or plan.
Yeah.
You see?
And at least I personally feel that's true though. I don't expect my kids to take care of me when I'm older. And I don't think I should put a burden. That should not be your responsibility. I don't believe that's a kid's responsibility.
If they want to, they will.
Yes.
That's how you know, okay, it's not like my dad didn't bring me to this world so that I could just take care of him, but he brought me up as the right man. Then it's my responsibility to take care of him, because if he didn't take care of me, I wouldn't be the man I am today.
Exactly.
So kids will take care of their parents in that regard.
Exactly. So I think this is probably a tough pill to swallow for a lot of parents, that this part of the responsibility to take care of your health really is on you. Okay, and if you don't do your part, to actually manage your time properly, then you are going to end up with more problems in the future, probably problems that haven't creeped up yet. But if you keep going down the path of not exercising, not managing your diet, poor sleep patterns, poor stress management, eventually it'll catch up on you. Okay. Now the question is, then how do we do this? I mean, if you do really have a time crunch, how do you do this? So recently, when I was running a talk with KPJ Damansara with regards to exercise in pregnancy, so one good term that Dr. Doris brought up was exercise snacks. And I'm very sure it's already out in the fitness industry. People know about it. Okay. It's just that when she brought it, I was like, wow, that's actually a good way to coin a term for a short duration exercise. Okay. Kind of spread along the day. So you're talking about 5 minutes of walking.
So you're not actual food.
No.
Okay. Just so we're clear. Exercise next, I was like, tell me more. So it's actual physical activity.
Yes, physical activity. So exercise snacks is probably what we're already doing. So like when you're having a lunch break, you walk for 10 minutes. You know, between paperworks, you squat 10 times. Okay. You do a desk push-up. Okay. You walk to your friend's counter, wherever that is, and then walk back.
So what does it look like to you as a sports doctor who's treating patients? Obviously, you're not in the hospital, so you don't get as much steps. And I'm not doing a jab at you. I've seen your clinic. You walk like it's not as big as a hospital.
Yes.
So what do you do?
Okay, so what I do is I normally, if I can come into work a bit early, so say if I come into work about 10 minutes earlier, so I park my car, so my staff will see my car passing by, and if I'm not appeared in the next 2 minutes, they'll be like, he's walking.
Okay.
For sure he's walking.
Okay.
So I'll be walking in the car park, and I've already clocked it. I get about 720 steps if I do one big round.
Okay.
So I'll just do one big round and take the lift and come up. Then
Why not take the
lunchtime,
stairs?
huh?
Why not take the stairs?
It's only 2 flights.
Okay.
And I don't want to sweat in front of my patients.
Okay.
So I don't end up sweating.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then I do that. Then lunchtime, I try to get 2 rounds instead. So that already clocks in about 2,000 over steps. Okay. Then another thing that I actually started doing, I'm not sure if it's going to pan out, but every time after I finish my strength workout, I do a 5 minutes run. Just 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. 5 minutes or 1 kilometer, whichever comes first or whichever comes last.
Even after a leg day.
Doesn't matter.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay. All right. So I will always finish my workout with a 5 minutes run. It can be a slow one, whatever it is, but it has to be like a moderate intensity to high intensity.
Okay.
Okay. But just 5 minutes. And I know I can do 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I just get on an elliptical and I do a kilometer and 10 okay meters extra. So I get 5 minutes extra of that, and that calculates to about 1,000 over steps.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, I do my weight training and everything, but 5 minutes. So the idea of just doing 5 minutes for me is like, that's doable. It's just 5 minutes. I can do it. So whenever you put something inside, like do half an hour of a workout, so it becomes like too big of a undertaking for someone. But if I told you just 5 minutes and just do that, say 3 times a day. So you got them to do 15 minutes of exercise 3 times a day. Okay. It could be when they get up. Okay. Before the kids get up, do 10 squats, 2 sets of that. That's it. Finish that and then do whatever you need to do. You know? And then say lunchtime, you either ask them to do some table push-ups or sit and stand or walk up and down for 5 minutes. Okay? Do that. So I'm very sure someone can find 5 minutes. Okay?
Exercise snacks.
Yeah. So you're making exercise approachable. And for parents, I think that's a good solution to start with. Of course, when you have more time, go and do a proper workout.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you don't have, so say I work out twice a week. Okay. I go on Mondays and Fridays to the gym. I don't have any other time to work out. So I do this exercise snack thing.
What's the rationale behind this exercise snacks? Obviously, it's an accumulative effort that builds into something, right?
Correct.
So what was the premise behind introducing?
So basically, we know that when you do exercise, you actually improve your mobility, improve your strength, improve your flexibility, and so on, right? So if you get to regularly tap into certain ranges of motion, like do a full squat and stand up, you actually keep your joints mobile. Okay, you keep the blood flowing, and it actually keeps you fresh. So you're working there in front of a desk for like 8 hours, right? And you do these exercise snacks, like you get a burst of dopamine. Okay.
Is there a research or study?
Yeah, of course there is. There's actually a paper written about short duration exercise is better than doing nothing kind of situation.
Short duration being 5 minutes or
Yeah,
short?
fine. It's any physical activity is better than sitting on a desk and not moving at all. You get it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So why I'm saying 5 minutes is fine. I'm putting a duration to it. I'm trying to put a duration to it so that you have something to tie what you're doing to. If I just told you to exercise, it feels very vague.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you tell someone 5 minutes, it becomes you got to sell the idea.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm selling the idea. Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. Okay.
So when I do that, then they start exercising. And when they start seeing the benefit, they're like, okay, I got a bit more time. Maybe I can do a bit more extra. So they ask me like, is there anything else I can do? Then I think here's a band. Sit down, wrap it around your leg and pull it 10 times. Okay, so it's exercise.
Yeah.
So gradually you get to get these parents who never used to exercise to start exercising. And gradually that becomes a habit, and eventually they start dedicating proper time to exercise, and it snowballs from there on. Of course, that's the idea.
How would you start off someone using these exercise snacks? What is the parameters you would set? Someone comes in like doesn't exercise at all. How would you ease them into it?
Okay, so as I said, walking is one of the things I will get them to do. Okay, so get them to clock in 5 minutes of walking
In a day.
in a day. Just
Okay.
5 minutes of continuous walking in
Okay.
a day. Okay, so if they can do it twice a day, find 2 slots in a day to do it.
Okay.
Okay, whether it's in your house, outside the house, before you get into office, before you get into the car to leave home. Okay, any of that. But it's because it's just 5 minutes, right? It's very doable. Especially like I'm done in work, I clocked out. I just had to walk for 5 minutes, then get into the car and chow. All right, so that's very doable. So if you're in a parking lot, just walk in the parking lot for 5 minutes, and then you're done. Then the other thing I get to do is sit and stand from a chair. You don't even have to squat; just sit and stand from a chair. Okay, do that maybe 10 reps, 2 sets of that, and then continue your work.
But doing 10 sets of two
10 reps, 2 sets of that.
for 5 minutes?
No, just
Just do the 2.
just the 2. Okay, so I'm giving them a very fixed amount to do, so it becomes a lot more approachable. Then bands you can keep it in your office.
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna, especially when you're sitting at a desk. If you wrap it around your leg and just pull it 10 times, do 2 sets or 3 sets of that. It's really quick. Okay, it's not super exertive, and it's very very doable. Of course, you can upgrade the bands that you're using, and then you can do more and more and more.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, the idea why I brought this up is because I feel like we have to start somewhere. The idea of selling someone a 45 minutes, 1 hour workout, you have to go to the gym, which is a drive to the gym, park, then work out, you got to get dressed, drive back. That's 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Most parents don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
I tell you now itself. That's the idea we're going to go with. We're not selling anything. Okay? Probably going to get 2 people buying it. That's it. But if you sell this kind of excess snack, so as coaches, right, if you get a chance to tell them that you program it in such a way that you do this twice a day. This is your morning workout, this routine. This is your PM workout, this routine. And it roughly takes them, say, 5 to 10 minutes to settle these 2. Okay? 5 to 10 minutes here, 5 to 10 minutes there. Then you have something that works for them. Okay? Yeah. So, I don't know, that's an idea for online coaching. Okay?
Exercise snacks. I love it.
Okay? All right. So, I think going forward, I feel like as parents, it is our job to take care of ourselves before we take care of our kids. If you don't take care of yourselves, there's no way you're going to take care of your kids. All right. And for us to go on, to do more, to earn more, you need to have the best of health to do that. And exercising is somewhere that you should start it.
Yeah, because you have to understand, like, there is also a life after your kids.
Exactly.
Like once your kids hit that age, they go to college, or you're basically done taking care of them. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of health are you going to have after you've sacrificed all this time and your health to take care of them? You're gonna be stuck with poor health. You have to build it up from a low point. Why not continue getting stronger or just maintaining a healthy body while taking care of your kids, so that when your kids are grown up, they're going to college or not, you and your wife or your partner can continue doing all the things you had put on hold.
Yeah. And don't get us wrong. There's no point at which not everybody's going to start healthy.
Yeah, of course.
You probably feel like, okay, after hearing this podcast, I feel like, okay, I got to turn things around. Then that will be your starting point. No matter what it is, if you're obese, you have hypertension, you have diabetes, whatever, that is your starting point. You start now. We keep saying tomorrow is never going to come. You start now. Your kids could have already been big, are bigger already.
Yeah.
But you feel like now is when I'm going to start. Then start. Doesn't matter. Just start.
If you ever need a good enough reason or to start, remember what Dr. Arvind said is about making an example for your kids. So what better way to like motivate yourself knowing that if I do this now, my kid's gonna grow up healthy, positive. He or she could even end up fulfilling the dreams that I could have done. High school athlete, national athlete, anything along those lines. The point is, every father wants their son to do better than them and become better than them.
Yeah.
Not just the son, but the daughters as well, of course.
So yeah, I think that is the message I wanted to get across.
All right, I love it.
Alright.
I really think that's a powerful message to a lot of parents out there and to a lot of coaches out there who work with parents. Exercise snacks.
To the next episode.
See you guys.